right after I pushed record.
I know, it was bad timing.
Yeah, it was.
I'm still COVID-y.
But you're alive. I haven't seen you or talked to you in a long time, it feels like.
Yeah, no, it has been a long time, and it has been a wild time, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Give me and the listeners a little Florida rundown, if you would.
Okay, so getting to Florida, totally fine, other than having to get up at like 4 a.m. to fly there.
Ew.
That part was gross. But even like getting through TSA, because we live in a smaller place, super fast, we just chilled. There was a lovely lady working the coffee shop in the airport who she called me like darling or sweetheart or so. Like it I only like when older women do it, or like older men who aren't creepy, but that's like pretty hard.
It's hard to pull off.
Yeah, it's hard to pull off in a way that's not creepy or like where I feel like I'm being infantilized. But anyways, she was a delight. We get there, my friend and I, so I was going there for my two dearest friends' wedding to each other. And I see Bo, not her real name. I see her and she sees me and we scream and we run at each other and we hit each other so hard that like we knocked the wind out of each other. But we kept hugging through it. It was beautiful.
Good.
So the wedding, like there was stress. There was like some stress about things. So we're going to do the bachelorette party, and I got to plan it, and I channeled all the Sagittariusness in my soul. And Bo's a Sagittarius, and I was like, adventure. Like, she and I fucking love adventure. So I booked us this private tour where we got to swim with manatees. And that was pretty fucking awesome. I saw a baby manatee, and it gave me like a little look, like it knew it was cute look. And I was like, hey, girl. And it just like glided. Like, there was no tail movement. It was just like glide by smooth, that manatee butter. The part that was stressful about swimming with the manatees is that, and I've made so many jokes about this, probably on the podcast as well, you cannot pursue, like, it is illegal to pursue a manatee romantically. Yes, definitely. I'm going to assume for many reasons, but also just physically, like going after a manatee and touching it is illegal. Here's a pop quiz. Do you want to guess what the punishment could be?
A manatee sits on you for 30 seconds.
I mean, that would be a good one.
Right? Natural consequence.
That would be a good one. No, you could spend a year in jail and or $100,000.
So we care more about the personal rights of manatees than women? Like,
yes,
we're at that point. Okay. All right. Good. What?
And I think that makes it even better that it's in Florida because of how Florida's about women and people.
Mm-hmm. But not manatees. Much. You keep your fucking hands off those manatees.
They are no longer endangered, but they are threatened. But
by your pursuit.
By your perversions. Yes. So no, you have to like, I'm going to demonstrate this to you. Unfortunately, our viewers can't see.
Okay.
Our listeners can't see. You have to like hug yourself when one comes by, just so you don't like actually touch it.
So you're not like tempted? Oh, or just not accidentally your limbs are like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, part of it too is because they take a lot of photos, and any photos where it even looks like you could be touching one, they delete. So they're like, just self-hug. At one point, and all of us are like pretty anxious people. So at one point, Ryan with his yellow flippers, he was one of our guides. He was great. I hear him above the water and he's like, are you guys all okay? Because all four of us were like snorkeling on our tummies, right? Floating. Our heads are together and we're all doing like, we're hugging ourselves, but our heads are like all together and there's no manatee in sight. And he's like, are you guys okay? And we were just like, we thought we saw something. So we just panicked.
We just, like, to be on the safe side, we just felt like we should continue hugging ourselves.
Yes. But no, that was incredible. They're huge. And they like, it made me anxious because the manatees can pursue you. Like if a manatee, they have one manatee who's a mother who sometimes likes to come up and hug people, and they're like, just let it happen.
Oh God. But will it like crush you? I mean,
no, like, no, okay. Like she's gentle.
But then what if she's
Allegedly.
not?
I
I
mean,
was going to say, what if she decides not
there's
to
just
be?
so many bodies in that beautiful springs. There could be. No, so that part was great. The part that wasn't great is on the way there. So I said 4, right? It was 4 of us. It was
Yes.
supposed to be 5 because one of Beau's friends, longtime friends,
Sure.
right? And she knew she paid for this because we all, and it was expensive. We all paid. So obviously, like, the bride doesn't have to. So I got her money is what matters, because on our way to it, she texts Beau that she had she has a thing and she's not going to make it to the wedding 2 days before the wedding.
A thing?
Yeah. And she's just like, I still love you guys so much and I'll send a gift, and is like trying to make it like not a big deal. I'm like, it would be shitty if you were just like a guest, but I was like, she's one of the maids, not maids, but she's one of the bridesmaids. So 2 days before, she's just like, oh, by the way. And so Beau is wanting to, because then it's going to be like, there's going to be one person missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, the symmetry would bother me, but like for her, it really was throwing her. And also it's just like upsetting having somebody be like, May.
Ditch out at the last second. It would have been one thing. I thought you were talking about just the manatees at first. I'm like, well, that sucks, but like, whatever, I guess. But the actual wedding, it's like, seriously.
Oh no, if it were the
Wow.
manatee, like, I could totally get it if somebody was like, hey, I think Beau would love this, I will pay for it, but like, I'm freaked out by water or
Sure.
something. Or it was just like, hey, something came up and I need to fly in later for that. I'm like, that would have made sense. But no, this was just absolutely like pretty much like, I want to do something else. So
that's a Jessica move right there.
that is such a Jessica move.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing that's shittiest is she knew that we would be going to the Manatee tour. And that's like when she texted. So like, she wasn't even like thinking, she was just like, whatever, I'll just tell her now.
Right. So then it kind of puts a damper, I'm sure, on the whole excursion. Yeah.
Because we were on our way there. It wasn't even like our way back. We were on our way there. And it was just like, the fuck? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So there was that. We recovered. Beau's cousin's husband got a suit and he was now one of the bridesmaids.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah. And so there was that little thing. And then I stayed with my dear Beau Bear the night before the wedding in this, like, it was in a really snazzy hotel, and it was on the top floor was their suite, which they usually use for like the bridal suite and stuff. So it was awesome because Beau was like, hey, would you stay the night? Because I don't want to like be there alone. I want my best friend there. And I was like, for shizzles. So it's like 11:30. We did like the rehearsal, all the shit. We bring all of the stuff upstairs. It's like I said, 11:30. I just got out of the shower. Beau is working on her vows when there's an emergency has been reported in the building.
Oh my God. No.
And we look at each other. Like, we're in 2 separate rooms and we kind of like meet in the middle and we're both like, are you like, I'm not crazy, right? I'm really tired. Am I hearing that? And the worst part is this hotel system, it is so hard to understand what they're saying that we could not tell if they were saying stay in the room or leave.
Oh, well,
and
that's
at
important.
one point, to me, it sounded like something about an intruder, which would then make sense to be like, stay in your room.
Right.
But we thought most likely this is probably like a fire alarm system. We thought we were hearing things about like not using elevators and whatnot. So we were just like, okay, cool. But that meant we had to walk down 19 flights of stairs. I had just come out of the shower. And then the worst part is Beau's now wife used to be a firefighter. And so I had to tell them, I was like, Chris, you would have been so disappointed because Beau and I, first of all, it took a long time trying to figure out what was being said. And then Beau was like, I have to grab my wedding dress. And then she was like, we should grab your outfit as well. I took time to put socks and shoes on and take my little boxer shorts off and put on jorts. I wanted to, like, I tried to towel dry my hair a little bit. And then Beau was like, is there anything else we need? And I kind of looked around. I was like, no, I think we can leave now. So it's a good thing it was just a false alarm because we would have died. We would have died.
You would have died in jorts. Did you say jorts in my presence?
Okay, so what is the difference between shorts that are jeans and jorts?
Jorts sounds dumb and only nerds say it that way. That's the difference.
Okay. Well, that's because Bo was bullying me about them. And I'm like, I feel like even hot girls wear shorts that are jeans.
No, jean shorts are fine. Denim shorts are fine. Jorts, not fine.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
It's
that's
just
fair.
a semantics thing.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. I also think it's sounds horrible.
Okay.
So me and my denim shorts, we walk downstairs. We walk those 19 flights. And then everybody's in the lobby. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh my God, is this like everybody else is confused? I'm like, this is going to be one of those things where it's like all the doors were open and nobody evacuated and everybody in this hotel died because just like humans humaning. But no, it turned out to be a false alarm. So that was the night before the wedding.
Oh my gosh. Great.
Then the actual wedding was beautiful. Bo and Chris kept making fun of me for crying at them. So I was just flipping them off during the entire thing. With love. My toast, I wish somebody recorded it. The women who were the coordinators for their wedding said, they're like, we've been doing this for 11 years and that is like the best toast we have ever heard.
Wow. Your toast at my wedding was very good.
Thank you. I ad-libbed a lot of it, just like I did yours, because of just anxiety. Like I kept trying to think of things and couldn't think of the right thing. And then it all came together. That was great. There was lots of dancing. We all got wasted.
Of course.
One of the friends that was a mutual friend, here's another. See, we're doing like highs and lows. Mutual friend, we had an after party in the suite with like pretty much it was like all the bridal parties together and then a few other like close friends.
Mm-hmm.
One of those friends ended up being a kind of a creep. So we're all no longer friends with him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Everything else, super fun though.
Okay,
so
good.
That's like the main thing. Everything else was super fun. Oh, the next day I was super hungover and I was like, well, I haven't drank this much in like a bajillion years. So I thought I was just having the worst hangover. Turns out, get home, I tested positive for COVID.
What?
Oh, and our flight was diverted. So we missed a flight coming back and we had to stay overnight in some random town.
Well, now when you say stay overnight, like were you in the airport overnight?
No, because
goodness. Okay.
Our flight wasn't supposed to be going out until like 11 or something, but Bo and Chris were leaving for their honeymoon. Their flight was at 6. So we were like, shit, we'll just go with you. So we got up at 3. We get to the airport and we are just like hanging out. And then we get on our flight and it's so like by the time our flight had been diverted and everything, like we had been up since it would have been in like our time zone now, like 1 a.m.
Ooh.
And it was like 3 p.m. and we were like, we're not waiting because the next flight was like 7:30.
Oh my
the
gosh.
next night. So we're like, we're not staying in the airport that long. Like, nah. So we just went to a hotel and you know how I hate sleeping in hotels, but it was fine.
Good. No fire alarms there.
No fire alarms.
Good.
The manager, shout out to the manager. She only charged us for 1 adult for the room because I think she could tell, like we told her about our flight and stuff. And Kelsey's so sweet. Like she never wants to do anything. Like she's very much by the rules. So I think she saw that she had only written down and charged us for like 1 person for 1 room. And Kelsey was like, oh, did you get that there are 2 adults? And she was just like, don't worry about it.
Oh.
So
shout out to her.
I'm guessing she's the manager of this hotel.
What? She is the manager.
The manager of all hotels.
Of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, that was like 17 minutes, so you're going to have to cut that.
I'm
have
not
fun
cutting
with it.
any of that, except for the one thing you told me to cut. I'm not, because this is going to be a schlim episode, so I welcome and love all that top of the episode filler. Whoa.
Sorry, we went to the aquarium. I got to touch jellyfish and stingrays.
You're not supposed to touch jellyfish.
Well, it's not like I jumped into a container. They had jellyfish that you could touch.
How can you touch them, though, without getting jellyfished, stung?
So you use 2 fingers, like you're going to say a little Boy Scout or Girl Scout pledge. And then you just gently rub on top of their little...
Okay, so...
Yeah, you're not like... Oh, their jelly sack.
You just gently stroke it?
You just gently stroke their jelly sack. Yep.
Okay. Sorry, Mom.
So yeah, we did that. It was great.
I already told you this via textile, but I will tell the listeners also as a little promo to go listen to this episode if you haven't. But I get to go see Shanae in Vegas in May, and I'm so excited.
I am so excited. I don't know. We both made hideous sounds. I am so excited and so jealous.
I know. I almost didn't want to tell you. I was like, I want you to
No. Please, you have to share your joy with me.
Okay.
I'm envious. I think that's better than jealous.
There you go.
Yeah.
I am putting my outfit together already. That is a process.
Oh, yeah. And just remember, I wear small and men's and unisex, and I don't wear women's shirts.
I got you, girl. I got you.
Just in case you wanted to get me something, I'd allow it.
It is hard as a 30-something-year-old dressing for a concert, though, is what I'm discovering, because there's a fine line between, like, it's Vegas, obviously, right? So you can't really stand out in Vegas. So I'm definitely dressing, like, bolder than I would here. Like, I would never wear this here. Like, it just wouldn't happen. And I think that's what I think, too, because not only is it Vegas, but, like, it's Shania. And, you know, like, I am only in my 30s, but there is that part of me that's like, am I too old to dress up like this?
I think being a mom makes you think you're older than you are.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I'm glad you're alive. I'm glad you're back home. Glad you're feeling better. Just like glad to be your sister.
Oh, I've missed you.
I've missed you too. That's why we have so much like background and filler this first part of the episode, and people, you know, enjoy. I'm not cutting any of it, so there.
Oh, Bo told me super drunk. It was so sweet because like it was right. I mean, it was her wedding night. She and I both were just like, whoa.
Oh,
I'll have to
I'm
show you
not
pictures.
judging.
She listens to every episode.
Bo.
And I had no idea. And then it was so cute because she was telling Chris's best friends. She's like, her podcast is so good. Sorry, Bo, you were really drunk. You're like, you have to send it to her. Listen to it. And shout out to Chris's friend Mina because she was like, yeah, send it to me. Mina's so cool. Mina is like I want to be her when I grow up cool. She's like spooky ethereal a little bit.
Okay. Today, we're doing a shallow dive.
Just like me and the Manatees. Love it.
And it's a kind of a shallow show. So we're back to reality TV. And I was thinking about it. I think the only other reality TV episode we've done is Newlyweds, isn't it?
We talked about The Simple Life, but we didn't do an entire episode on it. So yes, that sounds right.
It's been a bit. So we're going to talk about ABC's Wife Swap today.
Oh my God, I fucking forgot what the episode was because it was I did. That's because great. Like Bo asked me, it was so sweet. She was just like, hey, what are you guys recording about? And I was like, oh, I have no idea. Sometimes we tell each other, sometimes we don't. But it was like 3 weeks ago or something that you sent
ago. Yeah, that it came up. And I also mistakenly, I think on the episode where it came up, the end of the week before episode, the Ninja Turtle episode, I said it was a TLC show. It is not. It was an ABC show. So apologies. Okay. Credit where credit is due.
ABC.
Yeah, or TLC. I don't know who to apologize to in this situation, really.
Everybody. We're so sorry.
So this originally aired on ABC for 6 seasons between 2004 and 2010 with 147 episodes. And it's actually based on a British show with the same name. Did not know that.
Yeah, I wouldn't see it as a British thing. I mean, not like I know so much about those people with their tea.
I think that's the thing is they seem so much more refined that it almost seems like they wouldn't have that.
Yeah. Do you know what I learned though in a little history podcast about? They really wanted tea because obviously they're sluts for tea. They really wanted tea from China. Obviously this was a long time ago, and China was like really isolationist and like, nah, we're good, bitch. We don't need your British things. And they were very like anti-West. And so Britain, being Britain, was like, we're not going to take no for an answer. So they just started like pretty much they got people hooked on opium. So then they'd be like, hey, what if you traded tea for opium? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys, just go to another country. There are more countries that have tea
You guys could make tea too, couldn't they? I mean, it's just like herbs.
Some leaves and yeah, no,
Grind
it was
them up.
they were just like, I mean, I will say there are different kinds of tea, and some of them it's like an intense process. But still, the idea, like, that is the most. It would be really funny if it wasn't true, because that just seems like the most British thing where, like, you're like, well, fine, we're going to give you guys a fucking opium problem because we want tea and you said no.
Yeah. So now what? Gonna give us that tea? Wow.
And they did, yeah.
Anyways. Everybody sucks.
Everybody does suck.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, and so does Wife Swap.
Back to, yeah.
Swapping back to Wife Swap. There was also a Celebrity Wife Swap that ran from 2012 to 2015. I never watched that. We're just going to be talking about the OG regular Wife Swap today. Oh, they also did a reboot. I didn't know this. It ran on Paramount in 2019 and 2020. There were only 20 episodes.
Ooh, that doesn't speak well.
No. It didn't need a reboot. Okay, Sid, as you might remember in Wife Swap, two families with opposite lifestyles swap wives and occasionally husbands for 2 weeks. So they literally are living in another family's home for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And the wives also get a little look-see around the family's home before meeting the actual family. And they read a manual left to them by the other wife. Do you remember that part? They sit down and read that manual. And during the first week of the show, each wife has to abide by the rules of their host family.
Mm-hmm.
And the second week, the wives get to change it up and they get to impose their own rules on the families. And they read that out in a rule change ceremony. Obviously, this leads to reality TV gold because no one wants to change the way they're living, even though that's like literally what they signed up for.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's like Love is Blind, where everybody signs up for like this not being about looks. Mm-hmm. And then they'll be like, it was fine that like I wanted kids and he didn't want kids. I was like, we could figure that out, but I don't really date blonde men.
It really is about looks for me, turns out. Yeah. Well, the families on Wife Swap had that same realization that they didn't really want to change anything they were doing because, of course, everybody thinks that they're the ones that are right and doing everything right. This did bring me to ask, though, what the incentive is for people to participate in this, right? Because if the whole point of the show is to swap wives, live with another family, learn what they're about, and then kind of switch things over on them, like what's the benefit? So this is my one and only question to you, Sid. What do you think families earned for being on the show?
I mean, were they all paid?
It is the dollar figure I'm looking for.
50,000 each?
No. It's not confirmed, but many of the sources report that families received between $10,000 and $20,000 for being on the show.
I would not do it for that, I don't think.
I can see why people would, thinking, oh, it's a fun experiment. It's 2 weeks of our life. They also, a lot of them had to travel far. It wasn't like they just found two families in the same general area. I mean, people were traveling like across the country. And I don't know if travel was paid for, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, and when did the seasons or the original run?
It started in 2004 to 2010.
Okay. Well, I was looking up with inflation too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to look up, I'll go like with 2006.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, 10,000 would be closer to like 15,000 now.
Okay. I mean, it's not nothing. So like if you, Kelsey, and Yarrow were asked to be on a reality TV show for 2 weeks for $25,000.
No, I think like I think though, because like my home is so private, like I even cut out like what you can see like in our little clips. Like I don't even like that anybody can see that I have fucking walls that I have in my home. That one, Kelsey would never agree to it. Two, I would never want another human around Yarrow like that.
Sure.
Especially, I think the reason too is that because it's going to be an opposite person. In our case, it would be like somebody homophobic.
Very true. Yeah, there's so, a little bit more at
for
stake.
Us, yeah, it'd be. I would say I guess if I was straight, it's hard to imagine. Like maybe, but then I'm just thinking because like I can't picture myself having feelings. I'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. I can leave him for 2 weeks.
That's very no. Those are all good points. Those are good points.
Would you do it?
I mean, now that you're laying it out like that, no, definitely not with kids.
Because I was going to say too. Then like it's not like your child or children are going to just be left alone. I mean, there's going to be a camera crew and stuff, but that's also too like I feel like it's an invasion of their privacy as well. Like we don't even say their names on the podcast.
Right. No, definitely. Like to even have them on camera, I wouldn't be excited about that. But say they were somehow left off camera, that's a stranger. I mean, you don't know that person that's coming into your home and living there for 2 weeks. Like you don't know anything about them other than what they put on the application.
Yeah. And I just had a friend for 4 years, my little group of friends and I did, where we're like, oh, you're problematic. You're creepy.
Yeah, that's very true.
I would not feel comfortable. I also just hate the idea of like you're putting your entire, or at least like facets of your life out there to judge.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you feel like relatively normal, like people are going to be tearing apart.
Yes. Yeah.
And I just don't care about people's opinions on what I do in my private life.
No, you're opening yourself up to all sorts of criticism over everything. So yeah, I think that's a good call. I don't think there's enough money in the world, but that's okay. If you want to be on Wife Swap, well, you can't anymore because I don't think it's running, but you missed your chance. I'm sure there'll be another one. It's gone. After the 2 weeks are up, this is when the couples of each family come face to face to discuss their experiences. And sometimes this allows each family to share what they learned or what didn't work. And most of the time, it's just like a reality TV wet dream. There have been arguments, name calling, and even some physical fights at these sit down sessions. I think I sent you a clip of one, but again, this was like 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Did you watch it?
Yes,
that was wild.
Yeah, I didn't love it.
No, there were a lot of things I didn't love about it. We'll get into it because we're going to talk specifically about that episode. I only rewatched 2 episodes. That's about all you need to really get the vibe of the show. You don't need to get into it too far.
Yeah.
It's very typical reality television. Oh, and after this little sit down, they do come back and look at each family shortly after the swap and see how life has changed, if it has at all. So that's the premise of the show. So speaking of physical fights, I watched season 2, episode 23, which was about the Ridgely and Correo families. The Ridgeleys are a rodeo family from Delaware. They're extremely strict parents. They have 2 daughters, Peyton and Riley. They were adorable. And I'm not just saying that because one was named Riley. As far as the Correo family goes, Kim Correo, the wife, is very Jersey, even though she and her family live in Ohio. She was straight up, what was that? Did you watch this with me and Mom? It was that Jersey show, not Jersey Shore, at the salon. And it was called Jerseylicious. Anyway, Kim Correo she's a hairdresser and she could have been on Jerseylicious.
I love your knowledge of like some of it just feels like really obscure reality TV. And it's from everything from like home makeover shows to just like the trashiest trash. It's impressive.
I got to add Jerseylicious to the list. I don't think I have yet. I watched so much of that with Mom. Okay, I'm going to add it. Anyway, the Correo family lives in Ohio. Kim, the wife, loves shopping and flirting, and her husband stays at home with the kids. I bet you can't guess what happens when these 2 wives switch lives. They're so similar. You got a rodeo queen and you got an Ohio flirt, I guess. I don't know.
Classic Ohio flirt.
Classic Ohio. What I noticed most from this episode in particular was how put off Jen, so she's the rodeo gal, was that Lewis, who is the other husband, did the housework and stayed home with the kids.
That I remember that from so many episodes.
Yes, very
I feel like
traditional gender roles in a lot of them.
It's like a quintessential quote, I feel like, from Wife Swap is you always have like the usually more conservative family and the wife says something about like, you're not a man.
Yes. Right. They're
Every
very
episode.
judgmental about it because there's nothing wrong with traditional gender roles and there's nothing wrong with non-traditional gender roles if, everybody's consenting to it and has agreed to that. But yes, there's a lot of shame surrounding that in this show in particular. Jen also calls out Kim's wardrobe as too revealing and diminishes her job as a hairstylist, which is a perfectly fine job. And we don't need to comment on what women wear. Now, Kim does have her issues as well, but I didn't like the shaming. It's just not necessary, but it's reality TV. And as we know, a lot of this was probably played up or the producers really asked them to say this sort of thing. And, we know what reality television is, and we know that a lot of it is not real and people wouldn't normally act that way, but they're being pushed to or coached to.
Yeah. And you also too then you have potentially personalities that are more drawn to being in the spotlight and are maybe more willing to act it up in front of the camera.
Yep, to take on a persona and just run with it. I think you're right. All right, well, let's move on to Kim. So she's the Ohio hairdresser. She thinks Jen and her family are all work and no play, right? She tries to force the kids to stay up late, eat candy, and shop. But Randy, the husband, doesn't follow any of her rules. She also makes a big deal of dressing Randy in less country clothes. And I didn't really get that part. And it didn't feel necessary to do like the whole makeover thing. I mean, he is a rancher. Like, they have horses. Their entire job is like ranching. So to put him in what she considered like trendy clothes that he wasn't comfortable in, it just didn't make any sense. But again, it was the drama, I guess.
The episodes are so formulaic that I think there has to be something where they are almost like these tasks of like, okay, you need to update his wardrobe. Like, what would you do? Like, there has to be, because it happens, those bits happen in like every episode, all the same episodes where the more liberal wife is doing this and the more conservative wife is doing that.
Yep. No, you're right.
I'm like, it has to be part of the script of like, this is what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Randy is an asshole, though. He mimics choking Kim several times throughout the episode, which is a lot. And he made comments on her weight. He's a jerk.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. Is this the one that you had me watch a clip of?
That was the altercation at the end of the episode. So yeah, let's talk about that.
Oh, from what I remember, not like I would be friends with either couple.
No.
But I could not stand the more like yeehaw conservative.
Mm-hmm. So she was the one who was looking down on Kim for being a hairstylist. She said something to the effect of like, Kim bought her children's affection, was never home, that sort of thing. Career outside the home. So she's obviously a terrible mother. Now, again, Kim is problematic. She definitely had problematic moments. Her kids were very not well behaved at all. There are issues. And then Kim, so the yeehaw Delaware mom, Jen calls Kim a slut. And that's when she goes to throw her drink. And then Randy, the cowboy husband, tries to flip the table.
Yeah, I wanted to fight him. It was so uncomfortable and upsetting and like, ooh. And also too, just the escalation of going from like, look, don't start shit if you don't want somebody to respond. So like if you are fighting with somebody and you're calling them, especially in the mid 2000s or whatever, you're using slut is very different now, children. If you're using it then and like really derogatory, and you've just like bashed this woman as a mom, regardless of if she deserved it or not. Like the idea that she's not going to respond, I'm like, sure, I guess, like some people would be like, don't, throwing water is assault. And I'm like, look, sure, technically. Here's my thing. If somebody throws water in your face after you said something shitty, and you're like, I'm going to get that as assault, I'm going to say you're a little bitch. Like you're a little bitch. If you're just like, oh, there's water.
Right.
And then to go from that to like throwing a table.
When he started trying to, and I say try because it took a while to get that table flipped because the other couple was
for
pushing
a rancher,
back.
He's not like, yeah.
But yeah, it's like you went after her. You called her a fugly slut. She didn't say fugly, but you know. And
it was implied.
Yes, she went to retaliate. And then, yeah, Randy goes to flip the table. Did you see him, though? He shoved his wife. Did you see that when she went to try and stop him? And that scared me. I was like, he's a scary guy.
No, that's the thing, is like his thing didn't, his responses didn't feel okay. We have to do the blanket because this is like in the true crime territory. We are not experts. No, I haven't even watched the clip recently, so this is based off of me watching it 3 weeks ago. All of this is our perspective, blah blah blah. If you want to complain about that, type out an email and then send it in the trash because that's where we'll put it. His behavior, though, to me, it didn't seem like he was defending her. It seemed more like kind of a possessive thing, but more of like, you insulted my prize cow. And
yeah,
he freaked me out.
He freaked me out too. Like, I didn't like him throughout the episode, and I know you didn't see the whole episode. Like I said, the mimicking choking was really, I mean, it was more than just distasteful. Like, it felt scary. I'm like, who mimics choking basically a stranger that's just annoying them? But yeah, him shoving his wife out of the way to go get to the other husband, I'm like, that's your wife.
Yeah, and it wasn't a shove like from what I remember, it wasn't a shove of like trying to get her out of harm's way. It was like, get the fuck out of my way.
Yes. No, very much so. I would agree with that.
I have been in a place where like I started to kind of like this guy and I at a party a long time ago. It was supposed to be play fighting, and then it turned into not play fighting because we didn't really like each other.
Ooh.
And he picked me up. We almost broke a glass table. It was wild.
Oh my gosh.
Look, my 20s were a time. They were a vibe. And Kelsey stepped in, and Kelsey is very non-confrontational, but like she stepped in, and I can't imagine like shoving her out the way to like that's the thing where I'm like, I have been in confrontations. There was another time where my ex had to pull me out of an alley because I was about to fight a bunch of guys.
Sid.
I went to get a brick. It was going to be wild.
Sid.
Talk shit, get hit.
Okay, also not endorsing that. Disclosure, disclaimer, alert.
Look, I'm not endorsing it. I am winking.
No, you said something. What did you say? Talk shit, get hit?
Yeah.
No.
We are not going to be held accountable for
I sure as hell won't. I don't know about you.
My thing with talk shit, get hit is that it applies to then like if you're like, well, a podcaster said it was okay, then I'm like, you can't talk shit and get hit then, or vice versa. You know, you get what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, it's just like if you're going to be okay.
I do. I'm just I'm traumatized. I'm just thinking about you in your 20s and just kind of really glad that I didn't know any of this at the time. I'm processing a lot right now, and I need you to respect that.
No, that's fair.
I'm just glad you didn't get hurt. That's basically that episode. Ends badly. There's a fight. Doesn't seem like either of the families learned anything. And I believe actually the rodeo couple got divorced a few years later.
Yeah, that
tracks.
Yep.
Now I am going to briefly touch on the one husband swap episode that I watched.
Mm-hmm.
These families were actually both from Colorado. Of course, they swap a biker family with a hippie family. What's going to happen? I forgot to look up the pronunciation. I don't remember how they said it. The Pice family, I believe. Bongos and bikes everywhere. Now, Kenny's family, the biker family, consists of his girlfriend and her teenage daughter. and his own 2 teenage daughters, and they're all about motorcycles and cool cars. They don't have anything in common. I did not have much hope for either of these families learning anything from each other. I will say the ending was actually kind of heartwarming. I was wrong. The Pice family did learn to have a little bit more fun and relax the rules around the kids because they were very, very crunchy. No sweets for the kids, no TV. And again, I'm really not judging any of this. The way you parent is the way you parent, as long as it's safe, obviously. But they were very strict about those things, whereas the other family was not. And the biker family had sort of felt like a divided family because they're coming from, you've got the girlfriend and her teenager, and then you've got the boyfriend and his 2 teenagers, and they felt like 2 separate families. And by the end of it, they had all really bonded, and those kids started referring to both, their names were Kenny and Sandy, as mom and dad.
Oh.
And Kenny the biker cried.
Oh, Kenny.
So
see, I actually liked the episodes more where the families learned a little something.
Yes.
Which I don't know if I'm an outlier like that with reality TV, because I actually prefer when things aren't as crazy and dramatic.
Well, and here's the thing. You still got drama that episode. Throughout the episode, I mean, the peace-loving bongo guy had a full-on tantrum. It was glorious. The biker guy had to do housework, and he was not happy about that because his lady did that. So you still had the drama that reality television promises, right? But at the end of it, there was that moment of, okay, they did learn something, and maybe there is like some hope for the human race. And it's also, I think, what they pretend that the show's about, which is like families learning from each other. It's not about that. But every once in a while they do learn something. And I did like that. It felt better than everybody going home angry.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope that something like this would have at least just like a positive experience, even if it wasn't all good.
Mm-hmm.
I think especially if you're putting your children through it, because all of them, I don't think I've ever seen one without kids. And that's always something I thought about, is just like, one, like putting your kids out there and then being like, you're going to have a bunch, like not just like a stranger pretending to be your parent, but now you're going to have all these other strangers filming.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I will say I judge parents for doing things like that. And you call me out on it because I care so much, but I don't love it when parents post their kids all over the internet, even their own socials, because I'm like, your kids, like they might not want all of that out there. And also like I have some coworkers or like former coworkers who are in media, and they're posting, like they posted so many photos of their like young children, and their account isn't even private. And I do judge that. I'm like, you can be a good parent and still make this mistake, but I do think it's a pretty shitty mistake. And I think it's a mistake.
It's that really fine line because, of course, you want to share your children because you're proud of them and, oh, that's a cute photo, or this is a cool thing that they did. But that is definitely something that I try to take into account, and I try to be more and more mindful about it every day as far as when they get older, when they see this stuff. I mean, they didn't have a choice as far as what pictures I posted of them. And just thinking about, my childhood pictures, if it would have been possible for our parents to show those to everybody, not just pull out the photo album when, your first boy or girlfriend came over, right? Because that was always like the embarrassing moment of like, oh, I don't want anybody to see my childhood pictures or baby pictures. Mm-hmm. And now those are just out there. And not only is there the potential embarrassment aspect, there's the, unfortunately, predator aspect of things, of having all those pictures out. And I'm not going to say I have no pictures of my children out on social media. I do. I try to limit it and not get too crazy with it. I have things set to private, and I don't do it on any of these public forums, and I'm not going to because there's just too much risk.
Yeah. And you're also like, you are really picky about what you post. Like I always, like when people post pictures of like their kids in the bath and stuff, I'm like, that's private. Like that just, it makes me feel bad because I'm like, even if they get older and they end up not caring, I'm like, strangers shouldn't be in on that private moment where they can't I don't know. I don't like it. I don't.
Totally agree. Those are the ones that always come to mind for me too, is that I get it. I know it's supposed to be innocent. I have pictures of my children in the bath. I just took one tonight that I will send only to you because it is wild and you will see why. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to put this. Social media is a very different thing now than it used to be as well. You know, it used to be when you were on Facebook before, it was, oh, these are just my friends, like actual people I know. And this is how we connect and communicate. And it's become so much bigger than that. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people haven't caught on to that and don't realize how dangerous some of that stuff can be because it's not meant to be dangerous. They just want to share those things.
Well, and even if it's not like dangerous to me, it just feels really invasive.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. Yes.
Because there are certain pictures where I'm like, oh God, this is so cute. But like sometimes and I can't even really explain it, but there are certain ones that I've looked at and I've sent to you, but I haven't like posted for the podcast because there's nothing, I'm just like, I kind of just want to keep this memory us.
Yeah.
Little things like that. Or, you know, like with certain people in them who have passed or things like that. I'm like, I just kind of want to keep these like to us. And so I don't really get posting tons and tons of pictures of your kids, even if it is closed down. One, like grandparents are taking pictures of their screen with their phone and sending it to people and maybe even reposting. But two, I'm just like, let your kids have moments of their childhood that are private or like just shared with the people who are there.
Totally agree. I think part of the reason why there's always kids on Wife Swap is that really is a part of that family dynamic. And what people disagree on a lot is how kids are raised, right? So I think that is such an important part of the formula of the show. But that is, it's not something that I think I could put my kids through, especially now as we're talking about social media. Social media was a baby back when the show first started, but now all of the criticism that anybody can put out there towards your family, your kids, anybody, I mean, that would be awful.
Oh yeah. I mean, just like, I'm just thinking of little things of like people see something in your room and they're like, that is so embarrassing. I can't believe that's like a hobby. Or, you know, just like really like people will get, we get hyper focused on stupid things for sure. But yeah, I'm like, I would not love that. And I wouldn't want to put my children, if I had any, through that. Or like I played Barbies longer than quote unquote I thought I should. And I'm like, oh, I can't imagine if on reality TV I had like Barbies out and I was like, oh shit, I forgot to clean them up and stuff. You know, just like little things like that where it's just it'd still be so much acting. Not my jam. I'm rambling at this point, but
no, I think we've made our point. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. Let's get to the quote-unquote wife swap murders.
Yes, I have wanted to look it up, but I have not.
It really has nothing to do with the show itself, except for the fact that the family that we're going to talk about was on the show. But in my head, when I first heard that headline, I was thinking that the motive for the murder had something to do like with the show specifically.
Yeah.
Or it was like one family member murdering another family member, like from the opposite family, that sort of thing.
That's kind of what I thought.
It's not. The family we're talking about was on the show in 2008. They are called the Stockdales, and they're a very religious conservative family from Ohio. The family members were Kathy and husband Timothy, and they had 4 sons, Calvin, Charles, Jacob, and James. They kept their family really secluded, had a family bluegrass band, which is like a pretty big red flag for me. Homeschooled the kids. You know the family we're talking about.
Yeah.
So that was 2008. On June 15th, 2017, police responded to a 911 hang-up call at a residence in Ohio. And when the officers arrived at the home, they hear a gunshot.
Oh, no.
When they entered the home, Jacob Stockdale, so this is one of the sons who was 25, was found bleeding from a gunshot wound to the head. And unfortunately, his mother, Catherine, and the youngest brother, James, were dead. It doesn't seem like Jacob ever gave an official motive. Most people think his oppressive home life had something to do with it. and he was given 2 15-year sentences for the murders. So really not a wife swap murder per se. It's just kind of a getcha headline.
A family from the show.
Exactly.
That is really, really sad.
It's very sad. Very rough stuff. Oh, this is kind of, okay, this will bring us back up a little bit. I did notice when I was watching an episode, the music in the background, I was like, where have I heard this before? It sounds super familiar. It's the same as the America's Next Top Model finale song. That do 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 do.
Oh my god, we have to do an episode on America's Next. Yeah,
oh my gosh, we do.
That'll be a you episode. I feel like
I will send you lots of clips. We're at the conclusion. As we know, with all quote unquote reality television, we have to wonder how much of what's in the show is real and how much is staged. Some contestants, I don't know if that's the right word, but people who have been on the show have claimed that they were asked to reenact things that weren't caught on film or were given characters to play. And allegedly, even the rule changes that the wives present in week 2 were written by producers to ensure that the episode would be interesting. Again, that's alleged, but
I could absolutely see all of that, though.
Same. Yep. And each family was obviously portrayed through like a very specific lens. They were either like a strict family or no rules family. Wives were either dedicated moms or corporate working moms who barely saw their kids. So it's hard to say whether this holds up necessarily, mostly because that's still very much in line with reality TV, I think. And it's not to say that it doesn't have its problematic moments, because it does, but it's really no worse than most anything on TLC these days.
Yeah, I think though, like, just because of the kids in it, I'm going to be like, nah, we don't need more wife swap.
No, I wouldn't say we need more by any means, but there wasn't really anything about it that like shocked me per se. And I didn't rewatch all the episodes again, obviously. There were more, I guess, controversial episodes. I do believe that they had a very conservative family switch with a gay couple, and I can't remember if that's the one that they didn't air. I remember reading about it.
Yeah, I actually read something where I think one of the wives ended up going to like a hotel or something.
Okay.
But I could be completely wrong.
Or no, I think that one aired. I think the one I'm thinking of that I read about was they actually did, so they were doing a quote unquote regular wife swap, except for they didn't tell the husband of one family that it was actually a guy that was swapping, so that they were actually swapping with a gay couple, and he got upset about it. And I believe that's the one that didn't air because he was like, you guys didn't tell me that this was happening, which like boo on him for being that way, but also boo on those producers because they obviously did that for the reaction.
And they could have put that guy, not the homophobic guy, but they could have put the other guy in danger.
Exactly.
Or also like it already would have been uncomfortable, but like if he didn't know that the other person didn't know, like it's just putting him in a really potentially dangerous, but also just really shitty.
Right. I mean, not to get back into the true crime atmosphere, but it reminded me of like the Jenny Jones secret crush thing, where you're sort of ambushing people with this situation. And again, homophobia is not okay, and it's no reason to do anything to anybody like that. But why stoke that fire? Why do this gotcha sort of television moment? Like, I hate those.
Yeah, I don't. That's the reason why I'm like, wife swap does not stand up, is that I feel like it did not care about people's well-being.
You know what? You're right.
And oh my God, this just I have no transition. Do you remember the family who only ate raw meat?
Yeah. They were, as I was looking through episodes to watch, I saw that one and I was like, oh my gosh.
I think of that like every couple months. I'm just like, oh, God, they just like, it's just raw beef right there.
Oh, like, guys, you don't have to do that.
You shouldn't do that.
No.
Not if it's not prepped properly. Like, fuck. It's so.
Like, are they okay now?
They might just be beef.
They are beef.
They are beef.
They became beef. That's my episode. That's Wife Swap in a teeny tiny nutshell.
Ah, man. that was very interesting. I totally forgot, like I said, that was going to be the episode. So it was fun. I like being surprised. I'm worried for the time though, because we do every now and then surprise each other. I'm worried for the time where like we've both been prepping the same thing. I guess then we just are like, cool, we'll do the episode together.
Yeah. No, I'm like, I'm not worried about that at all. That'd be great.
Yeah, now I'm like, never mind, not worried. Bam. Completely fine.
Done. You've cured your own anxiety.
Look at that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Dissolve into a pile of dust.
I do need, I know I only have a few. No, because this episode comes out Sunday. Mm-hmm. And we'll allegedly record Sunday, but you know how that's been going.
We know.
So I have time. I would love people's suggestions and ideas.
Okay.
Because nothing has made me as excited. Like Ninja Turtles was so much fun. I want something that just gets me that jazzed up again.
Okay.
I am feeling something like a game or TV show. Like I like the ones that are more than just one thing. It kind of makes it fun. So some fun IP maybe.
What does IP mean?
Intellectual property.
Thank you.
Yeah. So like Star Wars is an IP. Also not Star Wars because that's
but not Star Wars.
But not Star Wars.
Okay. All right. I'll put a poll out and we'll see what we get with that. Otherwise, you're going to have to make your own decision.
Yeah.
Like a big girl. You're going to have to put those big girl booty butt pants on and...
my big girl jorts on and...
No, never. Never say that to me ever again. Well, I'm glad that we finally reunited.
Yeah, and it feels so good.
It does feel so good. Okay, well, we love you guys. You are the best.
Yeah, thanks. Some people have given us more 5-star reviews, and we really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to keep asking for more because we are greedy and we don't give back.
We're sluts for reviews. Woo!
Woo! You've reached Sid
and Riley.
We can't come to the phone right now,
so leave a message after the beep. Ruining Our Childhood was filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Psych. But it is produced by us, Riley and Cassidy.
With music by Joseph Tuna Medish.
You can follow us on Instagram at Ruining Our Childhood Pod.
Or send us an email at ruiningourchildhoodpod@gmail.com.
Support the show through our Ko-fi account, ko-fi.com/Ruining Our Childhood Podcast.
Later!